I want to say a few words today about becoming self-defining. And this is quite an important subject as far as our personal growth and spiritual growth is concerned, because we need to be self-defining in order to take ourselves along the self-actualization path in accordance with our growth and our personal development. And so, becoming a self-definer means that we do not look to other people to define us, which means that we do not look to other people or situations in order to tell us who we are. And often in dysfunctional relationships, there is a definer and then there is a victim who allows themselves to be defined by the abuser, because often that is part of the control and the manipulation tactics in that relationship, that one person gets to have all the power and gets to define who the other person is. In other words, they want to tell the other person who they are. And so it's quite important to be able to maintain a stance where we self-define and we portray that in situations and in our relationships, rather than becoming controlled and manipulated by people who may want to define us. And people often try to define us in a number of ways. And one of those ways is by trying to tell us who we are and how we should be and what we should be doing with our lives. And sometimes these sorts of situations can bypass us and we may not be conscious of what is happening, even if we've been on the personal development road for a long time. Because these types of situations are quite common, that we are possibly defined by other people rather than by ourselves. And when we're able to self-define, it often means also that we strengthen our own sense of self, rather than allowing other people to chip away at our sense of self by their definition of us. And I think we've all been in situations where we've come out of the situation and we've realised that the other person doesn't seem to know us at all, and that they seem to want to tell us who we should be and what we should do through a variety of means, which can sometimes leave us feeling as if we do not feel accepted and as if we do not really know ourselves. Because when we take on other people's definition of us, especially when we don't know ourselves anyway, it can often mean that we are left open to another person defining us, rather than us being free to be able to come to know who we are and to be able then to define ourselves and to speak up for ourselves in situations and say, no, that's not who I am. And so I thought it would be useful to just say a few words as far as tips are concerned and maintaining our own self-definition rather than allowing other people to define us and to manipulate us in that way. And one of the ways that we can help ourselves in order to self-define is to raise our conscious awareness as far as what is actually happening in situations that we're in and in our relationships. Do we allow ourselves to be defined by other people, or do we define ourselves rather than handing over that power and allowing other people to tell us who we are and what we should be doing? And sometimes, do we allow other people to actually think for us and to make decisions for us as well? So it's a pretty good personal development tool to maintain an attitude of being an independent thinker, which I have my own video on that if you want to go and check that out, called Becoming an Independent Thinker, so that we get used to being in that flow of actually making our own decisions, becoming a self-definer and becoming an independent thinker, so that we don't hand that power over to someone else or something else and allow them to take that role into our lives, regardless of what situation we may be in. Because at the end of the day, we need to maintain our autonomy and our independence as far as our own growth and our own life is concerned, so that we can stay strong on the personal development path, leading hopefully to self-actualization. So I hope those tips are useful and that we all manage to maintain a self-defining life, and that you remain, as always, safe and very happy.